This is Dust War Journals, episode 26, your number one spot for all news and discussion related to Dust 1947. My name is Johannes. With me today are my co-hosts.
Alles bien, Zaza. Loda is in the house.
And Magnus is also here.
As usual, yeah.
As usual.
How are you doing, gentlemen?
Yeah, it's been a busy, kind of a hectic month, but fine. Got a bit of a cold the other week as well, but getting better.
Yeah, and to me it's heaven and hell. We talked about it before the podcast. It's 70% fucked up right now, but it's 75% all square as well. So I don't know which leg to stand on. Yeah, definitely. It's like a fucking roller coaster right now. But I'm here with you guys, and of course loving that. So
yeah, you have to know you're alive.
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
Yeah, and we're here to talk about Dust 1947. So, have you guys any like hobby stories from the last month?
Yeah, well, we were on a little bit of a cruise yesterday there. Johannes and I were to Borås, and we played in the BSK tournament. It was good fun. We were testing out different armies. I won't talk about yours. You're gonna show yours later, so to speak. But
if you show yours, I will show you mine.
Oh yeah, definitely. So. Okay, so I'm going.
No, we're absolutely going to talk a bit about that tournament a bit later on. That was great fun. Small little tournament with a few very interesting and fun scenarios. I would say some really cool people. Yeah. So that was very enjoyable.
Definitely. And then, of course, just to play Magnus into the conversation, I was over at his place playing some V Commandos, which has, I guess, he would like to talk about, but I'll jump ahead and I'll just say, as Magnus already stated in other places, that V Commandos has an immense dust potential. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I haven't done too much
for collecting dust or for what?
Yeah,
it's I haven't done too much dust related stuff.
Or?
No, really, but I got my hands on a really cool board game called V Commandos, which is a World War II kind of stealth board game. It's not. I mean, too much violence in that respect. You can't go in guns blazing. And I've been thinking, when I found this, I thought this could actually suit some kind of version of Dust. If you could dustify this board game or bring some parts of this board game into Dust. So I'm really thinking about how to do that, because I think it could be really cool to play that kind of commando scenarios where you have just a few bunch of heroes that trying to do something really, difficult, like I don't know, infiltrating somewhere, placing some TNT and blow up a bridge or whatever, find some documents.
Infiltrating a Blutkreuz lab or something.
Yeah. Exactly, and one of the really interesting aspects of this game is that it's a fully cooperative game, so all the players, they play together against the AI within the game.
I like that. I've played way too many asymmetrical, like one player versus all the other games. I'm getting a bit tired of it. So complete co-op, that's great by my book.
Yeah, no, that's big part of why I became interested in it, and also why I thought this would be cool to be able to play like Dust style. Like put together some cool hero style guys and just put up what they're up against, whatever you choose, make up some kind of cool scenario where you have to sneak through and accomplish your super almost Mission Impossible style.
Yeah, and if you add a little bit into the mixer the incident 4156, the zombie thing there that were a few years back, and perhaps also take into account that the V Commandos also use squares, even though they are small and big and even bigger squares.
It's a slightly different system, but it also has some, some similarities, so to speak. And I think it should be possible to make some kind of crossover there. Yeah. I'm still thinking about it, and hopefully I will find some time to write something down that we can try out.
Yeah, and who knows what will if it will just pop out from us when he launches that Sverograd new campaign where it's down in the sewers or whatever it was.
Whatever it'll turn out to be.
Whatever it will turn out to be. We never know, but it could be something like this. It's like the blend or something, like, you know. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
And just talking about hobby, there's been just a lot of buzz, it seems, lately in the community about submarines.
Yeah, definitely. Also, you showed us that immense buildable 28 millimeters submarine. It was immense.
Yeah, and there's actually been two linked in the coming just the weeks up to this. It's been that MDF one that I showed you, not very expensive and really big. There's also been a resin one that people have linked to, a lot more expensive, but also a lot more detailed, and you can paint that up to just looks fantastic if you want to. So I guess it depends on your budget and your time. But it seems like there's a lot of submarine tables happening across the globe. That's really cool.
Maybe it's some, preparation for some kind of special operation.
Yeah, maybe.
Kraken 2.
Yeah, the studio's been leaking.
Let's get Kraken.
Yeah, that's good. And if there are any MDF or terrain makers out there, please start doing small islands as well, because we're coming, of course, to the Pacific soon, and we need those island hopping scenarios also. So we need someone to start producing those.
Yeah, that would be really cool. All right, let's go over and talk some Dust news. There's been a few new releases. First off, finally, some conversion kits.
Yeah.
People have been clamoring for these. We have the conversion kits for the Humber, for the Desert Scorpions, and also for the Annihilator, for the Cultist. That's the big tank based on the Panzer 38 with all the machine guns in the turret.
Yeah.
And the kits themselves look really good. I think the biggest problem that people have with them, unfortunately, is the cost.
Yeah.
Because they are not that cheap.
That's the way to put it.
Yeah. But in kind of a bit of defense, I see where the studio gets it from, because this is a small run of stuff that's for a hardcore audience.
Yeah,
this is not something that they expect everyone to be interested in.
No, they won't sell volume. So it's just that they made it is so great, because it's just like when we get to talking about perhaps the Japanese, when they have promised to do those little boat chassis for them in the future. Some people wants them and they supply it. We can pay more, of course, to get them. So I think it's good.
Yeah, that's always how it is, basically. It all comes down to volume. And I'm sure these special conversion kits, they are making, a lot fewer of them compared to any other unit, basically. So, they become a bit more expensive. But it's a fact of life.
Yeah.
It is. We also have some new versions of Angela and Rosie. We talked about this last time. We got the new releases with new stats.
Yeah.
Now we get almost the same units, but with updated models. So we get a Rosie model with firing her bazooka, and we get Angela also in a firing pose, kind of crouched down. There is a slight difference in the stat card for Rosie, because she does have that body armor. Yeah. So she gets Soldier 2 instead of Soldier 1, and she also is 1 point more expensive.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the same. And from what we've seen, people really like the new Rosie, and they use her a lot. We saw that yesterday.
Yeah, well, they should. I mean, this is a super character who's just been fallen into forget or something like that, because people only thought she was a mechanic and didn't realize how much she actually does. Even though she's very basic, she really makes a unit transgress to the next level or something like that. I also like to say it's so good now that when they get the new plastic technique, that they get the older models with a better look, so to speak. So either you can get the new one even if you have the old one, or if you didn't ever get the old one, now it's really the time to get that new one, because it's going to look so much better on the game board. At least my take is that.
Yeah, the models looks absolutely fantastic, and I think it's great that the different versions. They are very, very similar, but still they have some really important differences. So you can choose very different roles. Basically choose exactly how you want to use Rosie. She's got lots of potential.
Yeah.
And she can do even, like you say, she's a very simple kind of model actually. It's not that, she don't have any real shenanigans, special things.
No.
But still, she is super useful in a lot of allied armies.
She's very good at what she does.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
Especially now with her new models where she get expert with her bazooka.
Yeah, definitely. But still, one extra bazooka in any weapons group is good, because even if she were just with the shotguns and the flamer, you get to go after the vehicles one square further away, and also hits a little bit better, a little harder on those. Also, when you can have the grenade against people who go into cover or something like that. Oh, it's only one dice and only one hit, perhaps, but it just tweaks, and you can take some life. So that unit that you need to push forward or take the objective further away, she does that for you as well. In the same time, people don't really recognize her, so they let her be, because she's only have a wrench and a bazooka, so you can let her be. But no. Yeah. And of course, as everyone knows, she kills Sergeant Victory every freaking fucking times. I can't stop going on about this. She's a man-eater. Or something, I don't know. A Black Widow. In two aspects, actually.
Yeah.
So, well.
And the final new release just this Thursday was the Hanomag Vampire in the Cerberus pattern. People have been kind of clamoring for more releases in the older patterns, so it's nice to see this kind of re-release. Basically, there's still quite a lot of, especially the newer models that aren't available in the old winter camo, so hopefully that will get addressed at some point. But it's basically the same thing as we talked about with the conversion kits. It's a very small portion of the player base, unfortunately. So, but it's good to see that the options are there.
Yeah. But also because it refreshes you, because even though the desert theme we have right now still on Dust, and it's very beautiful and it's very good, but you want that variety sometimes. So when it comes some winter camo, it looks whoa, because you're so used to the sand and stuff.
That's a good point. All right, that's all the new releases, but there's also been a ton of previews of upcoming stuff. We got the dates and the prices for some upcoming stuff. The studio calls this Wave 10 and Wave 11. Wave 10 is going to hit us in the end of November. And this includes the Japanese starter set and a few units for it. It also includes the Desert Scorpion starter set and the Kill Squad for them.
It's so crunching time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The Sarnayan Grom, the new hero and chopper for the SSU, and we can see from this that it's Spetsnaz. It's Block and it's PLA.
Oh, evil bastards!
So
I
no
just thought there was
Spetsnaz,
only the Chinese, so I put that on the shelf. Now, oh, it hurts! It hurts so bad. Thank you for that one.
We also got the Migo Raiders with their ray guns. I can't wait to get my hands on these myself. These look badass.
Yeah.
And of course, the Hellgate book.
Yes.
It's gonna be fantastic to just let people have their hands on this book. I think people's minds are gonna get blown.
I just wanted. Should we perhaps, just to be kind, make some chopper sounds for Greg?
Of course.
Do the Grom here.
It's time for the Spetsnaz army box.
Yes. We just want to say we love that one.
Keep it going, guys. That's fantastic. Wave 11 is scheduled for January 31st, so that's a bit ways off. Of course, there's going to be releases between them. The studio has been very good with that. It's been something every week. So this is not everything that we will see until the end of January. But Wave 11 is due to hit January. It's some more Japanese stuff. It's the Ninja Squad. It's the Railgun and Anti-Aircraft Walker. We're going to talk a bit more in specifics about these because the stat cards were leaked. It's the dice for the Japanese. And it's also a new building, the Middle Eastern House #1. This looks great. If people have seen the MDF houses that Thor Miniatures used to produce, this looks very similar.
Yep.
It's very similar style with those kind of beams on the roof, but this looks more detailed because, of course, it's going to be probably very resin or thick plastic. So, and we've also seen hints that there's going to be more buildings in this range.
Yeah, which is so good also that they are so compatible, because if you have a few Thor miniature houses, it will just be natural to buy some of these as well and blend them together.
Yeah, just drop them in. It's going to look great.
Yeah, and that's so good. So you don't have to choose, okay, should I play this town today or the other town? I can just ram together. And what is it? Yeah.
Yeah. There was also Paolo himself shared a render of an upcoming nice
Paolo,
little hero
naughty boy.
for the Steel Guards.
Yeah.
We've had hints of this coming before, and we've heard that there's going to be a unit that goes along with this hero.
Yeah.
But this is a Steel Guard hero with twin Tesla stun rods.
Yes.
And a jetpack.
Hit me with it, baby. Hit me with your rhythm stick. Tesla stick, please. I can get really naughty.
Just by the sound of that, it can't go wrong. It's impossible.
It just looks amazing, and I think he's going to play amazing as well.
Yeah, definitely. No matter if he's a good fit for it, but since, okay, at least you know it even more than Magnus, Johannes, I have some really big problems with the mythos creatures, especially with the Cthulhu spawns, but that hero is going to jump right at him. I mean, he's going to go,
You did beat your streak versus the mythos this weekend,
yeah,
though.
but that's just because you're a kind person, and then we'll get to your army later.
I was this close.
Yes, and it's so much more interesting, the one that you play, than the other ones with the old fucked up monsters. And I know I need more anti-tank, or I need Tesla sticks that I can beat them with to submissions. Yeah.
Very nice.
But that was not the only thing that Paolo showed, or perhaps you're going it. Please. Oh, should I? The Katushka is coming now for the PT-47. So that now everyone knows the C type of the PT-47s. It's going to be gazillion amounts of rockets that's going to be fired and probably wipe out half the table. I can just imagine. I don't know what. Is it going to be a limit? One Katushka per player? Put up. Okay, 3 of these or something. Kaboom! Big bada boom. Okay, I'll stop now. Please say something.
Yeah, just wipe up the drool and we'll keep going. All right, so let's talk about the Japanese.
Please do.
Because the stat cards for everything that's included in these first 2 waves of the Japanese have been spoiled. So let's discuss. First off, we got the big girl herself. The Shadow of Death. This is Wang Si Wong, the Ninja Master.
Yes.
So this is the hero that you're going to get in the starter box. She is just insane, this lady.
Yeah.
I have to say. Very close combat focused. Her weapons are a light submachine gun with range 2, and she has dual katanas. She's berserk with the katanas. She's expert with both the katanas and the submachine gun. She has the improved camouflage skill, which you might recall we talked a bit about in our Hellgate special episode. This is like the normal camouflage skill, except it's from range 2 or higher. You don't have line of sight. So you need to be adjacent. You have to be just 1 square away in order to see her and hit her. And her light submachine guns also have stealth. So she can fire without breaking camo. And she's 4 points.
Yeah.
Only 4 points.
Yeah. So if she gets close, she will mess you up.
Yeah, but she doesn't have first strike.
That is true.
If you have a gang of cultists, which is also 4 points, you can put them in her way, so to speak, and perhaps you can do a 1-1 game with her. Or if you have the Chinese, you can like put a normal squad there. Okay, you lose a point, you do that. And you could see this one, especially if she have a squad with her, just going through. If she gets to your line, she will go through them, and with reactivations and stuff like that, it can be extremely messy. It can be, but
yeah, I mean, the big downside of her is that she don't have any real range. I mean, her light submachine gun is only range 2, so she needs to get really close, and of course she don't have any special weapons against vehicles. She needs to use improvised weapons against that. But against infantry, she is just nasty.
Yeah.
Really, really nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, together with the unit of ninjas that we're going to talk about in a minute, yeah, I think she's gonna dish out some pain.
Definitely.
And because of that improved camouflage and because of the stealth on the light submachine gun, it's going to be super difficult to really do anything about her.
No, but also she doesn't have charge. But cause just not going too much off topic, but you could do a little bit like I did yesterday when I was chased. My poor Chinese were chased all over the place by 2 spawns of Cthulhu, and they are quicker, so they can charge 5 and charge my Chinese when they're running away from them. Because when they had beaten all my tanks, the monsters were like running after my infantry, and my infantry were trying to run away because, well, you understand the scenario. But in this case, you can almost do that. You can run away from her and then perhaps countercharge her with your firing squad, or get her to come too close, and you can go into her and kill her with machine guns.
She's not tough at all. She don't have any like defensive stuff except for the camouflage. She's got no damage resilience or anything like that. So if you manage to get close to her, or even if you have like artillery, she don't like artillery at all.
No.
So there are ways to counter her, of course.
Definitely.
But yeah, she's nasty, and for only 4 points, I think this is a really good hero.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about her, let's actually talk about the ninjas then that she probably will be joining.
Yeah.
The ninja infiltration squad are also they are armed with the same light submachine guns that she is, and they each have 1 katana apiece.
Yeah.
So very similar armaments there. They also have the improved camouflage skill and stealth on their light submachine guns. But they also have the scout skill and the smoke grenades skill.
So what you immediately want to see is you want to see the Christoph platoon going up against this ninja squads with them, and there. That could be.
Yeah. We should also mention these are 5 points.
Yeah. That's also not much.
No, that's definitely not much. It's just 9 in total if you add her. So yeah. That's 9 points that potentially can knock out a whole lot more if you manage to get close.
Yeah.
I'm thinking people have probably played against the Spetsnaz Rosa platoon.
Yeah.
Where they have infiltration a lot. And if you're not equipped against that, if you don't have artillery or some way of countering, or if you are also looking to get up close and personal, that platoon can be really difficult. And this, if you play a lot of ninjas and Wangzi Wong, it's going to be like similar, but maybe even worse because they have improved camouflage. So, yeah.
The interesting thing with these guys, I think, also are the smoke grenades. Yeah. Those are very much going to be used tactically, and I could see a kind of vehicle-heavy Japanese list use 2 or 3 of these just to put smoke in round 1, so their vehicles can march up and stay out of sight and just get close and get into position.
Yeah,
So-
well, why not? Why not? It could happen. It could happen. Yeah, the ninjas was like Rosa Platoon and the Mythos creatures all roll into one or something like that. It's a strange combo, but yeah.
It's a very interesting unit, and I think because they are only 5 points, they are so cheap. I think this is a really good unit as well. Of course, they need support. Same as with the hero there. They don't really do anything against vehicles or against aircraft or such. But
And you need them to get close in order to do something. And like we said with Wang Wong, they don't have charge. So they're going to have a hard time getting into close combat. They have a move of 2 and a reach of 2 with the light submachine guns.
Yeah.
So that means that almost every other Soldier 1 unit in the game outranks them in range. So they are tactically difficult. You really need to play well to get them in a position where they can put out their hurt.
Yeah, definitely.
I have to say it's like yes and no. Yeah, they are kind of outranged by a lot of units, but since they have the improved camouflage, they still have the upper hand in a lot of situations.
Yeah, but then in the same way, then you just creep up. You just go 2 spaces each round, and you don't really do anything else. And that means that your opponent can focus on everything else in the army because the ninjas don't do anything.
But my thought actually is that perhaps what they really do best is actually to hold objectives.
That is a very good point.
Because of March Move 5, they are fairly fast. They can actually manage to to take an objective, and it's going to be pretty tough to remove them.
Yeah, well, in some aspects, yeah, but I can also see that they will have a frigging hard time playing allied walkers. I mean, an M4 or M3 here, they just walk right up to them and unleash their 50 cals, 30 cals and stuff like that, and they have nothing to put up against it. Because you just walk up to them and then
they need some anti-tank support, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
But I guess that's where the railguns come in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so let's go over and talk about the walker that's going to be in the starter set then. Just talk about the support. The Tengu, the Type 111 medium anti-tank walker. This is a vehicle class 4, move of 2, march move 4, with 8 health. So this is a tough walker for vehicle 4. And it's aimed with 1 front-loaded machine gun, a dual machine gun actually, 1 turreted machine gun, and of course the big railgun.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the showcase weapon for the Japanese here. 20 points for this unit, which is quite a lot for a vehicle 4.
Yeah, definitely. But because you almost, in this case, you almost feel like you could almost make a case for 2-pounders actually against this one. It will depend a little bit on initiative and stuff like that, but 2-pounders almost could wipe this one out and only lose 1-pounder, and then you have all the machine guns to deal with the ninjas afterwards. It's not likely, of course. And I don't like talking up the pounder, but I'm just seeing, because this is like a Type 5 walker, but they have restricted it to a 4, giving it some extra life.
I think this is a really good walker as well. I mean, the railgun is really nasty. It only rolls 2 dice against any kind of vehicles, but it kills most. If even one of them hits, meaning every time it fires, it has almost 60% chance of killing whatever it is shooting at there, because it makes killing damage up to vehicle 4. And it does 6 damage against vehicle 5. So I guess, vehicle 5 could possibly survive. I guess
it survives. It's 7 wounds,
I guess,
always 7 wounds.
Yeah,
less.
I think most of them at least. I can't...
No one has less than 7 wounds for a 5. So...
Then you also have the issue with the extra critical chance for the railgun. So that's probably why it's not all the way up to just kill it at that point.
No.
So that's where that comes in. The thing to kind of think, if you're going up against this, is use the terrain to your advantage.
Yeah.
Because this is not a fast walker. It will have to reposition itself if you use the terrain to hide from it.
Yeah.
And that means that you can't sustain fire. That's the big thing. If this thing is able to sustain fire on you, then you played wrong.
Yeah, definitely. Then you deserve, then you deserve to be killed.
Yeah.
So, and it's front mounted as well. So if you go out on its flank or try to, at least your maneuverability, and that's all the same thing there. The Allied walkers, I think, will be fairly good balanced against the Japanese because they are more versatile and they are quicker. So I can see the Germans getting their ass kicked by the Japanese like hell because they are more powerful shooting straight as the German walkers are as well. So, and I hope the Japanese kick their Mythos butts every time of the week. So, but
I have to say about this this Japanese walker Tengu, it's I mean, it's easy to look at the damage against vehicle that it can do, which is a lot. It's really nasty. But think about it. If you play it really aggressively instead and not use it to shoot vehicles, but instead basically use it to hunt for infantry. It shoots a lot against infantry. I mean, just the machine guns shoot a lot, and the railgun as well. It's got blast, and it ignores all kinds of. I mean, it ignores infantry and cover save.
Yeah.
With the railgun. So
it's an interesting thought. The thing I'm wondering in that case is if it's worth it for 20 points just to hunt infantry. Then you maybe get the chance to take a pot shot at a vehicle and potentially destroy it, of course. But is it worth it at that point? I don't know.
Yeah, and I must say, if it's anything that I'm disappointed with, let's be frank and try to be honest with this, it is that it's a blast 1 on the infantry. I wouldn't mind if it's like, it seems like it's 2 bullets that comes out there. It were 2/kill on the infantry line. So yeah, if you are hit by one of these projectiles, you are a smear on the wall. I get that. But it's not a magic bullet that tracks 5 people, or 5 people won't be standing in line to get 1 bullet inside all of them.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
So
I also have to say that I'm a bit surprised that it's got blast. It doesn't really feel railgunny.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't
a fixed value like 2 or 3 or whatever kind of seems more appropriate to me, but still, it's a nasty gun anyway.
Oh yeah, that it is. So,
and let's talk about its companion that's going to be in the Walker kits that you can swap the arms out for, the Enendra. This is the anti-aircraft Walker. So the Tengu was type 111. This is type 112. So they are consistent with their numbering here.
No.
This one is very, very similar, of course. It does have 1 less hit point. It's only 7 for this one.
Yeah, and it also has 1 more hit point than the regular Type 4 has. Because the Type
true.
4 always have 6.
That's true.
So this is still beefier, so to speak.
It has the same small machine guns, but its main armament is changed to the quad anti-aircraft guns with range 10. Excels at killing infantry and, of course, aircraft. And it also has the advanced reactive fire rule. So I love this Walker. This is one that's just going to take out everything. It does pretty decent damage to vehicles all the way up to vehicle 4 also.
Yeah, well, the thing is that it's, once again, it is the powers there of the weapons. I mean, if you compare it, for instance, with the Rattler has 2-3 against choppers and airplanes. This has 3-3. This is the one. you really want to take out airplanes, and it still has those extra machine guns with 2-1. This is by far the best aircraft walker in the game. You can't compare anything. It makes the I'd say it makes the Skysweeper look bad, actually. So this is a formidable aircraft hunter.
Yes, it is very good, but it's also 17 points.
It is.
So it's not cheap, but I wouldn't call it expensive either. Yeah. I think this is a fair price because you could compare it, for example, to the Axis Loki and the Jagd Loki. Mm-hmm. For example, the Jagd Loki is very similar, also 7 damage, but it's vehicle 5, so it's a bit sturdier, but kind of similar. And this Japanese walker's got 1 extra machine gun that can also shoot at aircraft, so it's got some extra dice compared. They have the same big gun, and they have the extra normal machine gun, so they are pretty similar. But the Axis one is 15 points, and this one is 17 points.
Yeah, and the Axis one you can't have in any platoons because it doesn't care. This one will be in platoons, so
far you never know what's going to happen in the future, but still.
And if you look at the Rattler is 17. That's the amp Rattler, but
16.
16, yeah. So and it's definitely a lot weaker. The Rattler is a lot weaker than this one. So I still stick with my guns that the Allied walkers will probably outmatch the Japanese, but this one is way better. They have way better and I think it's way better than the Jagd Loki as well. Even though it's 2 point more, you get so much more for 2 points.
You get some extra bang for those 2 points. But
I don't think I agree with you that this is better anti-aircraft than the Skysweeper, though.
Yeah, but that is 1 square, so it can move, it can shoot everything. The Skysweeper gets maybe onto the board and then it's stuck, and you can out.
Yeah, it's more. It's definitely more maneuverable than the Skysweeper. That's true. But the Skysweeper, the big things that it has is it's vehicle 5, so it's a bit more sturdy. Yeah. It's 1 less hit point, of course, but it's still. I think the vehicle 5 more than makes up for that. It has extra damage for the most common aircraft, which is aircraft 2, because it can hit with 2 of their machine guns, which does 1 more damage per hit. It also has smoke launchers, which is tactically useful, and it's the same cost if you use it in a Japanese army. It's 15 for the Allies and 17 if you use it as a captured vehicle, which you can do in a Japanese. So you can actually use
that's true. But the maneuverability and the advanced reactive... Do the Skysweeper have the advanced reactive?
Yes,
it has.
definitely.
Sorry, my bad.
So I would say for aircraft, if that's your main concern, I would absolutely rather have a captured Skysweeper. But this is more useful in a generalized army where you might go up against aircraft, because this is much easier to hunt infantry with than the Skysweeper.
Oh yeah.
So this is much more versatile. I would say that definitely.
And it doesn't matter that this is Type 4 and the other is Type 5. It does when you have the few, like the railguns that has a kill on Type 4, and the few Russian tanks that has kill on Type 4. That, of course, makes a little teeny-weeny difference. But otherwise, you need 2 hits with whatever you're shooting to bring it down.
Yeah.
And it's actually, I think the grenade launchers actually bring the Skysweeper down easier because it has 1 less wound. Because I still think you have the same damage on 4s and 5s, 3, so you need 2 hits. So
there are weapons.
We can discuss this to the end of our days. Probably.
Exactly. So it's those small details that makes it interesting. But at least to me, the price seems very fair for it. I think 17 points is it's not too cheap and it's not that expensive either, because you get a lot of for your bucks.
Yeah, and I would say with that stats for the vehicle class and the hit points, that makes it that you can actually go up and hunt infantry. I wouldn't really want to do that with most of the light anti-aircraft, anti-infantry walkers, because they can get punched to death by almost every infantry. This will have some staying power versus that.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind also. All right, next up is the Genbu. Again, consistent type 113. This is the artillery walker. So again, same basic chassis as the other one, vehicle 4 and 7 hit points for this one. Its main armaments are dual rocket launchers, again front mounted, range 4 to 14 and double blast all the way. And as with most artillery units, this is not that interesting if you're hunting vehicles, but it's devastating against infantry.
But the most important thing here is that it's the power of the blast is reaching vehicle 7.
It is. So it can do that last bit of damage that you need to finish something off.
Even the big ones.
That is absolutely true, and especially since you have the opportunity to hit several things at once with the artillery strike, then any extra damage is of course a bonus.
Yeah, and that's also that it has a range 14 and not 12 makes this interesting to take instead of 2 mortar squads. The mortar squads is perhaps more now than for the putting smoke and blocking opponents. This is so much more punchier. I would have hard time choosing between 2 mortar squads or a walker. That's another case that you have when you choose in certain armies, at least, that you rather go for 2 weaker mortar squads than the walker, because the walker ain't delivering like it does. But this one, it's an interesting.
The 2 main drawbacks this one has, I would say, is one, there are no observer squads for the Japanese yet. And 2, it has reload.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be able to sustain all that artillery barrage.
But if it didn't have reload, it had been priced like 25 or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. But
Probably.
Definitely. I mean, this is basically an Axis Lothar.
Yeah.
It's the same walker, but it's got 1 extra machine gun, same as the others.
Oh.
And it's got 1 extra damage point compared to the Axis, and it does not have the smoke launcher.
Yeah.
No.
And it's 3 points more expensive. So I don't know actually. This one is okay-ish, I would say. It's definitely not too cheap, because at least in my experience, the Axis Lothar is an okay walker. It isn't played a lot. It's played sometimes, and it's an okay walker. It's not bad, but it's not that good either. And this is very similar, a bit sturdier, got some more shooting, but it's also more expensive.
Yeah.
3 points more, and it doesn't even have the smoke launcher.
3 points more is a lot of things, but that extra weapon line, and also that it's a weapon line that is double as good as an ordinary walker machine gun. It removes a squad by itself, that machine gun.
I'm not saying it's yes, it is better than the Axis one, definitely. But is it 3 points better?
Yeah, I think so, because to me, when I play the Axis Lothar, I have problem with timing, so I find myself unloaded and not being able to use it, but I having need to use it. This one, with the machine guns, with the double machine guns, you never shy of an option. You will probably always have something you can do with this. If you're suppressed, only have one action on that turn and stuff like that. So I think I would rather pay 3 more points for this one, and I'm not talking down the regular German ones, because that is a good walker, but 3 more points to have that extra possibility, I think it's good.
Yeah, the dual machine gun is of course very good. It shoots a lot, and but for me especially, I'm going to say the 7th damage point, because that kind of makes it survive one extra turn. Basically, it's that's how it usually turns out.
Yeah,
at least for me.
Yeah.
I always wish I had one more damage point.
Yeah, well,
on my
if you were
walkers.
hit by, it also going back, retracting a little bit of what I've said before. When I think about it, the phasers only do 6 damage to a 4. And
6
normally,
or 3 damage.
Yeah.
The smaller
So,
ones. So
yeah.
this one usually
it
that
will
extra
survive.
point-
I'm
yeah.
starting to realize that perhaps I was a little bit speaking out of turn there.
Yeah, it's a big difference there. That extra damage point usually kind of makes you able to use it one more time.
Yeah.
All right.
So
the
Okay,
final
please.
walker on this first release list, the Type 114, the Basan. This is the one that really got people excited. This is the Assault Walker. It has 2 main armaments, actually. It's, one main armament and an extra kind of back-mounted armament. That little extra thing is the Heavy Assault Mortar. So kind of a short-range little thing. It kind of reminds me a bit of the Mickey.
Yeah,
In
definitely.
a lot of ways. So double blast against infantry and blast and quite a lot of damage against all vehicles. So yeah, this if you get this close, it's going to mess things up, especially if you count in the big main armament here, the phosphorus thrower. Range 2 flame, but yeah, it's basically a flamethrower, but phosphorus flame. So
Yeah.
flame that keeps on burning.
Keeps on giving.
Yeah.
yeah, and it I mean it's got blast 3 against vehicles, even up to vehicle 7. So which is nothing to scoff about. So and the phosphorus stuff, like we talked about that last episode, or in the Hellgate episode, about the phosphorus rule, that it stays for a turn, similar to how smoke works. And that's going to be a really cool walker, actually.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I just keeping on the allied theme as well, because I like to use the steel rain when I get up close and personal with people, and this one is really interesting because it's a challenge. It reminds also of that walker, but with the even lesser range on the flamer, but deadlier flamer almost, because it doesn't unload itself like the steel range extra rockets has. Yeah, those two I'm gonna sit comparing a lot, I think, on my own hobby time.
And yes, the phosphorus thrower is really cool because it allows you to, like we talked about in the Hellgate episode, it allows you to build these kind of walls of fire.
Yeah.
So if you shoot this through a narrow kind of alleyway, and you have infantry going at it, trying to, like apes maybe, trying to charge you, they are going to take a lot of damage to get to you. And the question is if they're going to want to do that.
Yeah, I think these phosphorus weapons are going to be super fun to play, both with and against, actually, because you have to be really careful when you use them.
Yeah.
So you don't shoot the phosphorus right where you want to be.
Yeah, definitely. Or
I mean, they can really mess up your plans if you...
That's true.
If you do it in a bad way.
This is also the cheapest of these 4 walkers. It's only 15 points for this one, and it also has 8 hit points.
Yeah, so
and I think this one needs it, because this one really has to get close, and it's going to take some hits before it gets there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's usually the problems, especially with the allied walkers. I mean, like you said, they can be really nasty when you get them to work, but in a lot of games people just shoot them to pieces before you have the chance to really start doing things. But with a couple of extra damage, this one might actually survive long enough to cause some havoc.
Yeah.
Definitely. The final unit. This is one that really has people divided, I think. The Kill Squad. I'm a bit confused actually about this card, because Kill Squad, it's by itself is not a unique name. We have Kill Squads in all the different blocks, I think. So I'm thinking that this might be amended to be the cadet kill squad or something like that, because these are what people refer to as the schoolgirls. Because and I understand every time people say this, there's always some go, oh, this is based on actual Navy cadets, this is their uniform which then turned into the school uniforms. Yeah, we know. This is every time this is up, but I understand why people make that connection to schoolgirls, because that's the most common cultural reference we have in our modern day. So I do understand that, especially when you go with these anime colored hairstyles that the studio goes on with their paint job here. All right, the stats for these, they are armed with submachine guns with range 3. They also have dual katanas, all of them. So another very close combat focused squad. These guys do have charge, so it could be interesting pairing Wang Wong up with these girls. Yeah. And they also have dazzling speed, which is kind of an extra save thing. We talked about this in our Hellgate special as well, but to refresh people, the card says always passes infantry saves on shield as well as faction symbol. Roll 1 die for each point of damage the unit takes in close combat, negating 1 point for each faction symbol rolled, only shared with cadet units joined. So damage resilience against close combat and super saves.
Yeah, since these are different chapters, so to speak, to the ninjas, I actually hope that it becomes a little bit like you can't join the ninjas with the cadets, hero wives and stuff like that, because it would really look kind of strange having the ninja leading the charge of the...
I don't know, especially since you get Wang Wong, the female ninja, leading these female students or cadets.
I have to agree with you there, Ludwig. For once.
Yeah. Hey, you heard it first here, folks. Magnus has actually agreed with me. This is a sensation. I mean, hold the press.
Just by the looks of it, it seems to be a bit of a mismatch there. They look so completely different. So if I'm gonna play the Japanese, I will probably not mix them, even if it would be good. I don't know.
But because if you think of it, you add Wang Wong to this unit. These are 8 points, so the combined unit is 12. The entire unit gets the improved camouflage.
I don't think so.
It doesn't say that it's not shared. I'm not sure. It could be. We have to check that. But anyway, you do get that staying power. And you do get the charge. Yeah, and that's the big thing, I think.
And if I'm going to be, I'm not going to be totally stupid and say I try to use logic now because this is a dice game and stuff like that. But I mean, should really the kill squad here now be able to use that dazzling speed if they are combining their attacks with a ninja that fight in a different way? They have different fighting schools.
No, it says that very clearly. Only shared with cadet units.
Yeah,
so Wang Wong does not get the dazzling speed.
No, but what I mean,
bonus.
I'm totally with you. It's just I'm not verbally myself incorrect way here, Johannes. I mean that the cadets girls won't be able to utilize their dazzling speed because Wang Wong will be in their way. They will have different fighting skills.
Yeah, I see. So basically, the old argument we used to have when you have airborne heroes joining a non-airborne squad back when you could do that. Yeah, I see what you mean.
So sorry. And of course, it's stupid to talk about logic here and fighting skills. It's not like it's a fucking dice game. But I mean,
but I would say this: if there turns out to be an issue, then I'm sure it's going to be addressed in a future errata documents. So we just have to see how this is going to work out.
And I know what Oliver is thinking right now, and those stupid fucking Swedes, why do they get these questions? Why don't they just play the game and get along? How? Why do I have to think of all these rules? I don't want to. Shut the fuck up. Get back to the program. Or something like that. Sorry, Oliver. We are like we are. We have to, you know?
Yeah. So, in conclusion, if we take this first 2 waves of Japanese as a whole, I must say I'm excited. Definitely. I think the Japanese are definitely going to be the new hotness. We are going to see a lot of people going to try these guys out. I don't think we're going to see any tournament winners from the Japanese until they get some more support, though.
I'm quite sure they will win tournaments by default in the beginning because people don't know how to fight them. If a smart guy who has been around a few years and puts together the kill list of these and comes and wreak havoc, the first 3-4 tournaments, they will walk it. I'm 100% sure. The European Championship is in the balance. But since we know that the big Japanese walker, then the big railgun walker is coming in March, and also the new not explosive spawn for Cthulhu, but I'll bet hard money that on the top 4 places in the European Championship we will have at least one cultist and one Japanese, probably 2 of at least one of them. That's my take.
Yeah, I'm sort of thinking that at least here in our part of the world, we will see a few really good players play these and do very well with them, because I think they are, from what we've seen, they are very good. They have some really nasty stuff they can bring. But I think also we will see a few players playing these and not doing very well because they are so different.
Yeah.
Because it will take some time to get used to them. But that kind of swings both ways. It will take some time to be able to play them well and also to be able to counter them well. So, yeah.
These are a tactically difficult army to play because you really have to play the table. You really have to use the terrain to your advantage in order to get close with your infantry, in order to get those big shots off with the railguns and stuff like that. It's going to take some figuring out, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's going to be super interesting to see how the platoons look. What kind of platoons will they get, the Japanese?
Definitely. I'm going to buy them. I'm going to buy them all, most likely, and I will play them. I am a little bit scared that it will be, since I have a mental problem, as everyone knows, I can't play the popular thing, and I am scared that they will be too popular, so I will only have them in my collection the first half year or something like that before I start playing them after everyone else has done it, so to speak. But yeah, sorry.
When they are not hot anymore.
Yeah, then I'll start playing them. That's actually the hard question now, because we're not even talked about that too much. But the new Desert Scorpion starter set with all that in, and being able to, of course, play with Marek, it will be so much fun. So
yeah.
But I'm on a recovery now. I've started playing my SSU again, so I'm starting that schizo time when what should I do?
Jumping back and forth.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way because just lately I've been focusing on building up my cultists army. So I want to play a lot with those. I have been looking forward to both the Desert Scorpions and the Japanese for a while, so that they are coming out now at the same time. That makes it a big, huge kind of deciding factor. Am I going for the
problems.
one, or am I going for the other, or am I going for both? And whatever I do, I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. So, but I think personally, I think I'm on your boat here. I will probably wait a while because I already have some Desert Scorpion stuff. So just completing that army and playing with that, I think that's going to take precedent for me personally.
Yeah, and I definitely hope you won't tire on your cultist army.
Oh, no.
Because it was not only because it was the only game I managed to win yesterday, that of course made it even better, but it's such an interesting mix you got there. And with the new trucks that Paolo has hinted about, with the dynamite sticks and with the flying carpet and stuff like that, even though I still have a problem with that. I have issues. But still, I can see in the way you theme your new cultist army how wonderful, interesting that would be to face, because it's not easy playing it. It's not easy.
No, we're going to come back to that in a minute.
Yeah, I have to say I'm also on the same page as you guys. I want to finish some more of my allies, and that new Desert Scorpion starter. I'm gonna get that as soon as possible. Definitely.
So we all three gonna play Desert Scorpions next time in tournaments.
So I'm seeing a massive like team game.
Yeah.
The three of us
Yeah,
against I don't know, but some
Everyone
of the other
else.
guys, and we will do just one of these desert raids described in the book there.
Oh.
With a whole bunch of trucks just rolling in.
Yeah, against 3 Mythos players.
Oh, now we're talking. And I think I know a store here in Gothenburg that sells those tropical hats. So I'll go buy 3 of those.
With helmets?
Yeah.
That's great. Just lovely.
Oh.
Let's go over to mail call. We got some interesting questions here from a few listeners. First off is Oliver Galka, who asks... what way, in your opinion, will go the Blutkreuz and its lore? More crazy and inhumane experiments with zombies, animals, and other such, or more special weaponry like upgraded lasers and new technology? We have heard some hints before that there are some ideas from the studio that they're going to break off the Blutkreuz into their own block separate from the Axis. Mm-hmm. And if so, they are definitely going to be more differentiated. And my question then is, if they're going to be their own separate block, what is going to be their special weapon? Because
their shtick.
Yeah, exactly. No, specifically their block weapon. Because as it is now, the block weapon for the Axis are the lasers, of course. But most of the lasers are in the Blutkreuz.
Yeah.
So my kind of spontaneous reaction is just the same thing that Oliver says there, upgraded lasers. The question is then, how do you upgrade them without making them too good? Because the lasers are really good as they are.
No, definitely.
It's easy. You just take 2 and tape them together.
So one going forwards, one going backwards?
Who knows?
If you like. Be careful with that scope sight.
Yeah. Well, one can speculate now that the Japanese are breaking off from the German way of doing things, and the Blutkreuz is breaking off there too. Perhaps these will have, they will perhaps be able to shoot on camouflaged and stealth. Perhaps they could have something like that.
Yeah, it's going to be some sort of improved targeting for them. That's an interesting thought.
So it doesn't matter if you're stealth, if you have the special weapon. You see them anyway because you see the infrared and stuff like that. Perhaps that you have to re-roll hits if you shoot on stealthy people or something because it's still a little bit hard. I don't know, but I can see them do something. But I think more that they will do even more strange experiments with, like, we've seen the experiments what is called the X123. Now what's the
23 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think they will try to capture animals demons, whatever you want to call the Cthulhu things, and try to spawn them and try to incorporate them or try to use their DNA or whatever they are built out of and start to produce their own defensive monsters against the Cthulhu monsters or something like that. I wouldn't put them past them to show up with wings on their Blutkreuz troops or something like that.
Yeah, I'm also kind of thinking something like robotic or kind of cybernetic troops with like big brain cases and stuff like that. That's also a possibility. So I think there's a lot of ways to go with just the high tech stuff and with the occult stuff. That you can do a lot of things with that with the Blutkreuz, I believe.
There are definitely potential there to continue doing weird stuff, and especially
weird science.
I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say too much, but the stuff in the end of Operation Hellgate kind of hints a little bit of things to come.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be super interesting to see how the Blutkreuz will continue developing.
Taking form, yeah.
So that's another little hint for you.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah, and since we were into the Gregoire celebration here before with the chopper there with PLA, he has put out. There's been another video with him out. And,
yeah, we should mention that the Beasts of War did an interview with him and his wife Alicia.
Yeah, and since he only says it a bit into the the video, it's a huge spoiler alert there before you watch that. If you want to read the Hellgate before, don't listen, don't watch it. He says shit that, well,
it's just a single detail.
Yeah,
but it's a pretty major one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, well.
All right,
let's continue.
The next question comes from our old friend of the show, Brian Keith Younes. Brian asks, if each of you could write your own operation, where would it be set, which forces would be involved, and what could the mission be? Well, I had some kind of thoughts of this before, but just now when we were discussing the Blutkreuz, that kind of got me thinking, and if the Axis are starting to break apart... So if the Japanese Navy are breaking off from the Axis and the Blutkreuz might be breaking off from the Axis are starting to lose foothold and starting to lose some power and consolidation. So maybe something set in our part of the world, like Northern Europe, which is a big stronghold for the Axis in the lore. That could be really interesting, just to see how this kind of fallout affects that region. And now the SSU is starting to move in from Russia, and the Allies are starting to move in and try to take some opportunities and reclaim some of the territories. I think that could be a cool kind of story.
Really cool. I would like that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree, but I'm also thinking I would like to see some jungle fighting, some like in tropical regions. Because
that would be just something completely new to the game.
Yeah, that's something we haven't seen, and it could also easily be combined with the Pacific, of course. A lot of those regions in that area, so you can do. Like island scenarios that we've been talking about before, and jungle scenarios, and do interesting things with the terrain, like special rules on how it affects things.
Yeah, I have three. I think that I want, or maybe even actually four, because now I realized I said before that I wanted to play inside the Kraken or with the Kraken or on the Kraken or something like. But going beside that one, the island hopping. Of course, we've talked about it a gazillion times, so people are probably bored of it. Another thing that I also mentioned before is that I would like to have an underwater base. I want to fight outside under the water with the scuba divers and shit like that, or something like that. That would be like amazing. Perhaps not so realistic, but then also but my biggest one is when they get with the Vril and stuff like that. I of course want some take on the Iron Sky. I want to fight on the moon, on the Blutkreuz hidden base on the moon, because I know the Blutkreuz are already established on the moon. Nobody just doesn't know it anymore.
Yet.
Yeah, that's the word I was searching for. And of course, no, I don't know. It's just my imagination that's running wild, so nobody thinks someone told me something. No, they didn't. But I would love to see an on the moon scenarios where you can have the real ships coming in and out, and the Cthulhu spawns popping up and down, and the space guys with the zappers and stuff. Yeah, the moon. Let's go to the moon, and we go to the moon and do all those things, not because it's easy, but because it is hard. Just to paraphrase a little bit.
Perfect.
Yeah, it wasn't. But please continue.
Yeah, our next question comes from Michael Stacy, and Michael asks, have you played Between a Rocket and a Hard Place yet?
That's an easy question.
No. Sorry, Michael. We just haven't had the time. And we were just now discussing our kind of immediate futures.
Yeah.
And what's going on in our lives and our weekends. And we realized that we are going to have a hard time trying to just find time to meet up. And
and it's also, I mean, it's holiday seasons, and it's busy time at the moment. So
I still stand by what I said. I want to play this scenario as soon as I can.
Yeah.
So when that will be, I unfortunately don't know. So,
But please keep hitting us with a stick. That's somewhere between
Definitely.
the rock and the hard place, because we're getting there. We're getting there.
yeah. Final question comes from Frank Washburn. Frank asks, how competitive do you think the PLA is with the current releases? Not very, I think, personally. The PLA at this moment, I don't think have enough units to really be competitive. That's basically it follows the same pattern as with all the newer faction releases. That
if
you get a basic kind of thing to get going and get collecting, but you don't get the bread and butter until a few months in.
If you want to go 100% PLA at the moment, it's going to be a bit difficult because they don't have too many options and they don't have a whole bunch of heroes to choose from, and kind of you will not get the very well-rounded list. It's going to be difficult. So, but still, you can put something together, but you're going to have to use a whole bunch of block units to do that.
Yeah.
To make it competitive, at least.
That said, there are interesting kind of possibilities now with the mercenaries. The mercenaries are getting some more kind of differentiated units that they didn't have before. So that makes an opportunity for all of the other blocks to use that, of course. So that's a possibility.
Yeah.
And it's not that far off either. I mean, there are some PLA stuff out there, and more and more are being released, and I'm sure they I mean, we saw the chopper is being released, the new one will be PLA, and I'm sure other new things will come fairly soon as well.
Yeah, but still, trying to offend as many people as possible, the PLA really, that's just people gone bad. I bring a lot of Chinese in my armies, but they are faithful SSU Chinese, and almost every time I bring some commissars in their groups to keep them in line, because we can't have the PLA. Just the fact of the Chinese just running around, messing around, they have to be controlled and ordered. We know what it will turn out to be. So I'm sorry, I just.
But actually, speaking of the PLA and upcoming things, we didn't really mention this in a preview, so maybe we should have. Another thing that we were shown on Facebook recently was early digital sculpt of a PLA hero.
Oh yes,
yes. Basically based on Fu Manchu.
Yes.
And also, some people say kind of like Egg Shen from Big Trouble in Little China with that little bag he carries, so like the Seven Demon bag.
Yeah, but once again, a Chinese out doing mischief.
Yeah.
He probably will summon some Cthulhu monsters as well. Keep him in line. I mean, what is this? What's the problem here? They got to be annexed. Just scrape off the PLA and do the SSU, for God's sake. They're insubordinated. They need to be put into. No, sorry.
You can't have people running around, thinking differently.
Definitely not. That's what China is. Oh, no, sorry. I'll just shut the fuck up, will I? Nah, it was trying to be funny banter. So, but I like that the red colors are spreading out. So, and I hope we will see some grudge matches against the Japanese versus the PLA.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
It's probably also politically not correct to say, but I mean, there's a lot of interesting battles there that they can have between them.
That is true. All right, let's finish off with some tournament talk, and there's quite a lot to talk about, actually. We had some local tournaments here recently. First off, there was the UDD, or Uddevalla Days of Dust, which unfortunately none of us three were able to attend, which is really unfortunate because from we've heard of the players who were there, it was quite a spectacular event in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it seems really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. It's kind of very story-driven scenarios, and it finished off with like a big boss battle with a custom enormous walker with just tons of laser weapons, and it just looked epic, basically.
Yeah, I wish I wish I was there, but unfortunately couldn't make it.
No, life got in the way, so
But that's what happens. But something that we did go to, at least you and I did, Luda, as we talked about, was BSK, the Borås Spelkonvent or gaming convention.
Yeah.
So we had a small tournament there just yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Kalle and Roger were the hosts. And
that was a very, very fun event for me, I would say.
Yeah, both of you was there, but I was not able to make that one as well. But I'm eager to hear, how did you two do?
Well, we were among the worst in the tournament. We had seriously imbalanced army lists, but I think we, in some aspects, had great fun with our armies as well. And I mean, the most interesting one is Johannes' lists in so many ways. But because I only had the PT-47s and only the A and B ones, of course. Well, yeah, it was. It was a fun tournament. It's just frustrating. I went to the tournament with two ideas. Either I'm going to go with all mechanized PT-47. I'm going to go with that theme. But then also, I got one. You and I got the Pink Flamingo. Magnus, I'm talking about now when I'm saying you and I. And I was thinking I would go with the all sulfur flamethrower army. So I had like the Pink Flamingo, I had Koshka, I had the Flammeluther kidnapped, because you can do that, and like some Nadias and stuff like that, and then only the sulfur. But
all the flamers.
Yeah, but then that army didn't work out on 100 points. It got too weird, so I dropped that, and then I tried to match the two together, and it was fun. But the three players I played against, two of them, it didn't matter that I had the flamethrower, so I didn't get to use the Pink Flamingo anything. It's only against Johannes. She acted nicely there, and she got things done when I finally got around to using her, because I was slow in my build-up in that game. But it was... So I'm a little frustrated. And also, in none of the games, almost, I could use the PT-47s because there were so extreme opponents I was facing. So the things I were trying to test run wasn't able to test run it because of the opponents, or perhaps I had thought. But let's talk about something more fun. It's your wonderful cultist army. Tell us more about that instead.
This was a wonderfully fun army to play. I didn't do that well with it. So to speak, I came dead last in the tournament. But it was a learning experience, and I kind of learned along the way, and the last two matches I played was just a hair's width away from actually winning. What was interesting about this Mythos list is that it only contained one of the big creatures. I used one of the Cthulhu spawns, I used the Migo Raiders, and then the rest was foot soldiers. It was cultists, it was cars, it was the tank. And what hit me after playing the first match and getting thoroughly destroyed was that if you play the cultist this way, you have to play it completely differently than when you play with the big army box build that we've seen before, with the three big guys and some small cultists and some mercenaries. Because if you use that, then you have a very hard time in scenarios where you have to take objectives, because the big creatures can't take objectives, and you only have like 2 or maybe 3 units that are able to. That means that you have to be super aggressive. You have to play to wipe the opponent in a lot of scenarios in order to have a chance of winning. In this army list with all the human cultists, you basically have to do the opposite.
Yeah.
So you have to play very defensively and very carefully. Send in, of course, the big monster to kind of, not to kill stuff, but to run interference.
Yeah.
To basically make sure that the opponent focuses on that. So they are distracted, so your cultists can go sneak around and do their stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Your cultists are pretty fragile. Their vehicles, they are easily killed.
Yep.
So you need at least one monster to be some kind of bullet magnet.
Exactly. And when I figured that out, the matches got a lot more dynamic and a lot more fun, and it went kind of back and forth a lot. And like I said, just in the game that you and I ran, Luda, that was just, like I said, it was that close for me to win it in the end.
Because also you have all these gazillion small vehicles that run around, and you're not scared of them because they don't hurt you that much. But when you start blowing them up, they start to get in your way. And my tanks couldn't go forth because there were all these fucking vehicles in the way. And you don't see the cultist that steals the objective and runs away with it. Because we should perhaps say in that game, you should go to the middle of the board, take the objective and bring it back to your HQ, which you had in the back of your field. So, and if you got your shit to your own HQ, then you immediately won the game.
And it was like for 3 consecutive turns, I was 1 successful reactivation roll away from winning, and I failed all the time, every time.
Yeah, because I really and then was the Pink Flamingo that saved me more or less, because she had to box herself through all these wreckage and burn herself away to your HQ and place herself there to deny you the chance to get to the HQ. And that made it eventually a way.
It sounds like an epic game.
Yeah, it was.
and it was because he lulls you into that false belief of security, because he throws his big monsters at you and you kill them and you feel so great and you feel everything is going your way. But in the meantime, his fucking sneaky bosses are taking the objective.
Wait a minute. What are those guys over there doing?
You are not supposed to do that. And then you have to start running around with all your army and try to catch the guys before the finishing line.
Yeah, so it was very, very cinematic in that way. And it just, I loved how the theme of the army really came to to the front there. So I'm definitely going to play this army a lot more and experiment with some stuff. I did have to put in some mercenaries to pull it out, and in this case I put in Louisa in the Demolisher. For 2 reasons. One, because she has that recoilless rifle, so she can do some damage to tanks, which is one of the big drawbacks with this army. It's very, very little anti-tank except the big Cthulhu spawn. And she's an officer. She is the only way to get an officer into that army at the moment.
Yeah. And it's, of course, a weakness. But also, what one has to know, okay, your spawn wasn't premium, but everything else was premium. So it's so deadly beautiful on because he has like 3 of these assault cars with the 5 girls in them with the machine gun.
The Raider car.
You got the small Gatling car. You got 2 of the Annihilators.
The tanks.
And you also your mercenaries now. It's premium. So
I started just the cultists and the mercenaries are kind of the thing. Those I'm just buying premium from now on because I love the way they paint those.
Yeah. And the Migos were premium as well. So it's like, it's just an eye drop just to watch and play against that. And you're like, you find yourself picking up his troops and playing with them and getting amazed. And this is nice. Okay, wait a minute, I have to kill them. Okay, just put them down, start shooting again. So, I could easily have taken it on the chin if I were beaten by that army, because it's just a delight playing against it.
Yeah. And the tournament itself was won by Joachim.
Yeah, that's good.
He did really good with his allies.
Yeah, he's starting now to. It's like almost his hybrid of big walker. I think it has 2 6-shooters, and then it's the Desert Scorpions, and he had an infamous, of course, then Sergeant Victory game.
Oh yeah.
I think he survived. Was it 17 kills? So on the 18th time, his opponent killed Sergeant Victory. He finally died. But of course, his opponent didn't have. It was a German. Played Germans. He didn't have Rosie, so.
Yeah, that must have been the problem.
Yeah, that was definitely the problem. Because, well, yeah.
All right. Then the next upcoming tournament, which I'm looking very much forward to now, is the German Masters in Berlin in just 2 weeks' time. Yeah, this is going to be a very fun event, I think. You were there last year.
Yeah, with Kalle, but now you're Kalle's wingman.
Yep.
I'm so irritated, but then, of course, I'm going to London this weekend to celebrate my birthday with my daughter and my girlfriend, so...
I thought you were going there to play some Dust.
I wish anyone in London hearing this between the 9th and the 12th of November, I'm in central London, please look me up. I'll bring my stuff. Well, we will see what we have time for. It's going to be a lot of wizards.
I think the girls are going to be ecstatic that you're going to be away playing Dust when you're in London.
Oh, yeah. No, well, we will see. I'll actually drag them to... football game as well, and for the Americans, I'm talking about the soccer game, of course. So, but we will be watching Harry Potter and stuff like that. But no, we were talking about Dust, and the German Masters was great last year. I hope they have the same story-driven theme behind the scenarios. I haven't read about it since I'm so depressed. I'm not going. But I think
last time I looked, the scenarios hadn't gone up yet, but I haven't checked lately, so they might have gone up.
And just a quick reminder to our lovely friends in Germany, so Johannes and Kalle don't have to have a bad starting experience. Please put every single thing that one has to think about before one comes to your tournament on the webpage this year, so you don't have to reach Germany and find out you have units with you that you don't appreciate you have with you. So that's my still a little thorn in my side there, having brought what I thought was just a regular, nice little army list, and finding out when I arrived that it was apparently... not okay. So please, I hope it's in writing. But if your Cthulhu Spawn thing, I can't see how they will. How can they object to it?
No, it's not probably going to be the exact army that I played this weekend that I'll bring with me, but it's probably going to be similar because I want to try and play this army a lot to kind of get a feel for how it works. And I'm not there to win, I'm there to have fun. And this is a very fun army to play. And I'm kind of aiming to at least be the best Mythos player in the army, in the tournament. Yeah. I didn't yesterday.
No,
that honor
was yesterday.
Honor was taken by Jonathan, who played the classic 3 big monsters and some girls, basically. And actually went up in second place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so he did well.
Good.
Yeah,
very good.
Well, he was chasing my Chinese all over the place. Well, what can you do?
Yeah. And then finally, some words about Dust Nordic, which is going to be in April next year. There's been an update on the webpage, so more details about the kind of schedule. And the registration has opened, so everyone who listens, just go into dustnordic.com and sign up. There's still a lot of room. Not that many people have signed up yet, but of course there's a lot of time to do so. This year we have decided to go for fewer but longer games, because that was something that a lot of players asked for last time. So it's going to be 2 hours and 15 minutes per game. So people can actually kind of grind out those matches that tend to just run over time.
That's good. That's good.
So we hope that will make people happy.
So, and this year I'll probably just bring a fast army then. So I'll be sitting complaining, I have 1 hour, 30 minutes.
You always need to complain about something,
yes,
right?
Of course.
Yeah.
No, but
so that's how it works. So yeah, you can check that out. dustnordic.com. Please join us, say hello to us, meet us in person, play against us, and beat the shit out of us if you want to in the game. But I think that kind of wraps it up for this episode, unless you guys have some last minute kind of revelation you want to share.
No, I just want to get it on air that you will have at least 30 minutes of recorded data from Germany.
Yeah, that's kind of a nudge against me. We had some issues going on between us. So
no, there was no problem with that. You had the mic with you. It just didn't have any batteries this time.
You can't think of everything.
No. It's the first time it was no microphone. Second time it was a microphone without batteries.
So next time I'm going to take only the batteries.
Yeah. Kalle, if you're listening to this, please bring a microphone and record something so we get something for the show, okay? Or Johannes, Berlin, Johannes I'm talking about, prep something, okay? And send it on email. Sorry, Johannes, I just had to.
All right. So with that said, we will have to thank our audience. So thank you very much for listening and supporting the show. We can not have done this show without all you wonderful listeners out there.
Oh, you're the best.
Yeah. And until we hear from you or you hear from us next time, we will see you on the battlefield. Thank you for listening to Dust War Journals. You can find us at dustwarjournals.com or on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dust War Journals. And you can find our Patreon page at patreon.com/dustwarjournals. All music used in this podcast is made by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com.